We know that parents across the country are fighting back against critical race theory in public schools, and that's just phenomenal to see. This is the kind of movement that must happen if we want to take back our country, if we want to protect our country from the radical left. But we have to ask ourselves at the same time, why did it get to this point before we noticed? Why did it get to the point that our children are being told if they're white that they're oppressors, if they're black that they're oppressed, before we noticed that this was happening? How did this infiltrate even elementary school classrooms before we as conservatives were aware of this? Because the radical left told us a long time ago exactly what they were doing and exactly how they were doing it and exactly why they were doing it. One of the most prominent critical race theorists admitted, and this is on, by the way, academic journals, in an academic journal. Delgado goes, this is what she says: I was a member of the Founding Conference. 24 of us gathered in Madison, Wisconsin. By the way, the Founding Conference of Critical Race Theory. She's talking about the history of critical race theory. 24 of us gathered in Madison, Wisconsin to see what we had in common and whether we could plan a joint action in the future, whether we had a scholarly agenda that we could share, perhaps a name for the organization. I taught at the University of Wisconsin, and Kim Crenshaw, by the way, is like the godmother of critical race theory. Kim Crenshaw later joined the faculty as well. The school seemed a logical site for it because of the Institute of Legal Studies that David Trubeck was running at the time and because of the Hasty Fellowship program. The school was the center-left academic legal thought. So we gathered at the convent for 2.5 days, wait for this, around a table in an austere room with a bunch of stained glass windows and crucifixes here and there, an odd place for a bunch of Marxists, she says, and worked out a set of principles. Then we went our separate ways. Most of us who were there have gone on to become prominent critical race theorists, including Kim Crenshaw, who spoke at the Iowa conference, as well as Mari Matsuda and Charles Lawrence, who are both here in spirit. Derek Bell, she references. She goes on to talk about how they disseminate critical race theory through academia, through the school system, through the public school system. She admits an odd place for a bunch of Marxists, where critical race theory was formed, where critical race theory was born. They told us what they were doing. We just weren't paying attention. They told us what they were doing. They were forming a strategy to disseminate critical race theory. They were going to use the public schools to do it, to indoctrinate children, to stoke this racial divide, to help usher in Marxism into our country. They told us. We have to pay attention. We have to be ahead of the curve. It's one thing to play defense and to fight these things once we see the manifestation, once these poisonous weeds have started growing in our public school system. It's another thing to recognize that this could happen if we don't put a stop to it before it happens. It's the difference between playing checkers and playing chess. But we as conservatives, we're up to this. We're up to this fight. We can play at this level. Otherwise, like in California, we see the manifestation of this in California. They have this woke math curriculum that they're fighting over right now that's trying to usher in equity in mathematics. Equity in mathematics, they define as teaching towards social justice. And this is essentially dumbing down curriculum is what it's doing. They want to completely eliminate Algebra 1 from 8th grade because some kids aren't ready for Algebra 1 in 8th grade. So the advanced kids who are ready for Algebra 1 in 8th grade aren't going to be allowed to take it if this curriculum standard takes effect. But we're fighting this once it's already on the docket, once it's already impacting our kids, instead of listening to what the critical race theorists said they were going to do a long time ago. The same thing is happening in Chicago. Chicago is now implementing a gender-neutral bathroom policy, where your gender identity dictates what bathroom you use and not your actual gender, not your biology, not your DNA, not your body. It's harder to fight these things once they've already manifested. And they warned us that they were also going to use gender. You know, you've heard critical race theory. There's critical gender theory as well, that they're going to destroy the family. Marxists and socialists and communists have had a bullseye on the back of the family for literally decades. We're talking Karl Marx on. Socialists and communists and Marxists have tried to destroy the family. They've just tried to destroy marriage. They've tried to destroy women. They've tried to destroy babies via abortion. And now they're trying to destroy gender, to destroy the entire structure of the family. They told us this was going to happen. We have to listen to these things. When we listen to them, we'll know exactly what they're going to do, exactly what they're going to do.